Many people have wondered why I love Descendants so much. Well, here's why. What's up guys, my name is Ryan, welcome to my channel if you're new here. So this is gonna be my review for the first Descendants film. Since we have a new 5th movie coming out this summer, I figured it was the perfect time to watch through and review every single film in my favorite movie series of all time. This will probably be a monthly series, so this month, this video, of course, I'm reviewing the first film. Next month I will release a video reviewing the second film, and then so on, all leading up to the release of the new movie, Wicked Wonderland. But without further ado, since it is after I watched the film again, I'm just gonna jump in and start talking about why this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And also I will be talking some spoilers, so there's your spoiler alert if you have not seen the film before. But before I get into the review, I just wanted to real quick say one thing. Just wanted to say hope everyone had a great Easter weekend, a happy Resurrection Sunday to everybody. I didn't say anything in the video because I intended the video to come out before Easter, but I had a wedding this weekend, I spent a lot of time with family, and I just wasn't able to get the video uploaded and edited and everything before Easter. I try to make sure I upload my next video at least a week at the latest after my previous video, but I just wasn't able to make it happen this time. But just real quick wanted to say that because this is a Christian channel and it just felt wrong not acknowledging the passing of Easter, the day Christ rose again, the day the crux of Christianity happened. So just real quick wanted to say that, so now enjoy the rest of the video. First reason why I love this film so much is I'm a huge fan of Disney, more so classic Disney, like their pre-2000s classic 2D animated films. Disney puts out some good stuff nowadays, but I usually much prefer their older stuff. I grew up on pretty much all the classic animated films from the Walt Disney Animation Studios canon. They're a very integral, important part of my childhood and helping me fall in love with movies. And so I think putting them all in the same universe is just such a fun idea. And for some reason, I've just always had a thing and really enjoyed getting to see the adventures and the stories of the children of iconic, beloved characters. That's one reason I love the end of the Harry Potter films, because we get to see Harry, Ron, and Hermione's children being sent off to Hogwarts. That's one reason I love The Legend of Korra, because we get to see Aang and Katara's children and grandchildren. And so if you say to me, hey, there's this film franchise about the children of classic Disney characters, I'm sold. These films just feel like such a celebration and a love letter of those classic animated films that made Disney what it is. And it is being made by fellow Disney fans and enthusiasts like myself. You can just tell when you watch the films, when you watch the behind the scenes and watch interviews with the cast, you can tell how much fun they had making these films. And for me, it just really adds to my personal enjoyment of a film when I know that everyone working on the film enjoyed making it just as much as I enjoyed watching it. And speaking of the cast and characters, I think this film is just filled to the brim with great fun characters played by great actors. I love our core four, as they're called, our main characters. Mal, the daughter of Maleficent, played by Dove Cameron. Jay, the son of Jafar from Aladdin, played by Boo Boo Stewart. Evie, daughter of the evil queen from Snow White, played by Sophia Carson. And then my favorite character, Carlos DeVille, the son of Cruella DeVille from 101 Dalmatians, played by the amazing Cameron Boyce. It is so sad what happened to him. I'm so glad that they dedicated the third film to his memory. I really miss him as an actor. I really would have loved to see what he would have gone on to do and what else he would have done in his acting career. But I'm so glad we got to see him as this character in these first 3 films. And not just him, but I love all 4 of those characters and those actors so much. I just love seeing the friendship between our 4 main characters, our 4 villain kids throughout this franchise. And I love how they casted actors who all have some level of history with Disney Channel. Like I grew up watching Dove Cameron on Liv and Maddie and Cameron Boyce on Jessie, and then Boo Boo Stewart guest starred in an episode of Good Luck Charlie, and then Sophia Carson guest starred in an episode of Austin and Ally. And as a child, just seeing all these actors that I was familiar with in a project like this was just so much fun. But you've also got a bunch of other great actors in this film. You got Mitchell Hope as Ben, you got Melanie Paxton as Fairy Godmother, you got Brenna D'Amico as her daughter Jane, you've got Diane Doan as Lonnie, the daughter of Mulan, and a bunch of other great characters played by great actors that would take too long for me to mention. And then we've got to talk about the soundtrack. Pretty much every song in this film and throughout this franchise is absolutely fire. I love pretty much every song in this film and in this franchise. The opening number, Rotten to the Core, I remember seeing that for the first time and just being amazed. When that song started and the VK starts singing and we're introduced to them one by one, they start running throughout the aisle, dancing and parkouring off different things, and just the choreography, and I was just so amazed. Another reason this film is so important for me is it's very integral in helping me fall in love with musicals, which is my favorite genre of film. I feel that is a very underappreciated film genre that is not nearly talked about enough in the movie talk community on YouTube, I feel. When Rotten to the Core started playing, I was just like, this is gonna be awesome. And I was continuously amazed throughout watching this film for the first time. I also love Evil Like Me, the duet between Mal and her mother Maleficent, played by the amazing Kristen Chenoweth, another fun, great casting. I loved Dove Cameron's solo song, If Only. I love the Descendants version of Be Our Guest. I love how they sing classic songs from those classic animated Disney films throughout this franchise. I love the finale song, Set It Off. The cast just looks like they had so much fun filming that and dance number. Pretty much every finale song in each of these films, like, never so badly have I wanted to jump into my TV screen and just start singing and dancing with all these characters and be a part of the movie. And I even love the credits song, Believe by Shawn Mendes. The only song that I didn't really like is Did I Mention, the one Ben sings on the, like, tourney field. For me personally, I think that song is just way too cringy, and I usually end up skipping it whenever I watch this movie. I know a lot of people would say that this whole franchise is cringy and cheesy, but for me, cringiness and cheesiness doesn't usually bother me, but there are still, of course, times where it does, and Did I Mention is one of those times. It was just way too much for me. Then I also have to shout out the director, Kenny Ortega. That man is an absolute legend. If you don't know who he is, he directed and helped choreograph the High School Musical trilogy, as well as the original Newsies film with Christian Bale. He also worked on Hocus Pocus. He also worked with Michael Jackson. Like I said, the man is an absolute legend. I think he absolutely kills it, directing and helping choreograph the original trilogy. And last but not least, I just love the story of this film. I just love these kinds of stories where evil, wicked people experience and encounter goodness and love, and their hearts are changed by that, and they come to the other side and start pursuing the good path, and they find much more fulfillment in pursuing goodness and caring about others than they do pursuing their own wicked, selfish, evil ways. Our four main characters, each one of them is the child of one of Disney's worst villains, and you see in the beginning their relationship with their parents and what it's like, and throughout not just this film but this whole franchise, they say these lines and you just get hints as to what their relationship with their parents were like, and it really is kind of sad to hear and to see. For example, there's one scene in this film where Mal and Evie are talking, and Mal asks Evie, "Are you afraid of her?" And Evie goes, "Sometimes. Are you afraid of your mom?" And Mal goes, "I just really want her to be proud of me. She gets so angry when I disappoint her." And throughout this film, like I said, you just see how sad and terrible these kids' relationship with their villainous parents are, and how their parents, some of them treat their kids like servants. And you especially see this with Mal and her mom Maleficent. These villains just really want to turn their kids into like carbon copies of themselves and get them to do their bidding. And you just see throughout this film how all of them, but Mal especially, is really trying to earn their parents' approval and love, and really trying to please their parents, but they never really will be pleased because they just want their kids to be exactly like them, and they won't be because they're their own individual people. They weren't made to be their villainous parents, they were made to be themselves. And then you also have that scene where the VKs are trying to make cookies to put a spell on Ben, and then Lonnie, Mulan's daughter, walks in and she's like, "The cookies could use some chips." And they're like, "What are those?" And then she's like, "Chocolate chips. Did your moms never like bake you chocolate chip cookies like when you're feeling sad?" And the villain kids just look at her with such confused looks on their faces, and she's like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" And Mal just says, "It's just different where we're from." And then Lonnie says, "Well, yeah, I know, but I thought even villains love their kids." And then they don't even have to say a word, just the emotion on their face says it all. The emotion and looks on their faces communicate so much about their relationship with their parents and what it's like. And how I was talking earlier, like, it's more like servitude, a master and servant relationship rather than a parent to child relationship. And you just see throughout this film how the love the villains have for their kids, there's very little actual love to it, and it's more conditional, like, I will only love you if you are like me, if you do my bidding. And it's just really so sad to see, and so I love when they are given the chance to come to Oridon and be taught and shown goodness and love for the first time, and they see how much better it is to pursue goodness and love, and how much more fulfilling it is to care about others and not just themselves, rather than being selfish and hurting people. And that unconditional love the VKs experience in Oridon, that's the same type of love that God has for us. God loves us no matter what, whether we choose to follow him or not. Now, that does not mean God accepts and approves of everything we do. Love does not equal acceptance and approval of everything someone does. If a parent sees their child trying to harm their other child, their sibling, they don't accept or approve of that. They take that child aside and they discipline them and tell them why what they're doing is wrong and what the right thing to do is and why it is right. They try to shepherd them down the right path. And that's what real love is wanting what is best for someone, wanting to keep them from things that are harmful to themselves and others. And that's what sin is. It reminds me of a quote by Charles Spurgeon where he says something like, "A generous God denies nothing to his children save that which is harmful." God wants to keep us away from sin because even though it may look good and feel good, it is harmful to us and to others. It is not good. It is not loving. And like I keep saying, we'll find much more joy and fulfillment, and it is so much better to pursue goodness and to love and care about others. And I just love how, especially with Ben and Fairy Godmother, how the VKs, through those characters, are shown unconditional love for the first time, and it changes their hearts. Ben and Fairy Godmother truly do care about the villain kids, and they want what's best for them. They want to shepherd them down the right path, even before they choose good. When Ben makes that decree to allow the VKs to come over to Oridon and be taught goodness, he knows they've been raised to do evil their whole lives, but he wants to give them a chance to change and to see the benefits of goodness and love. He wants what is best for them, what is better for them. He wants to keep them away from that harmful lifestyle. He doesn't want what happened to their parents to happen to them. And he and Fairy Godmother, I think it's kind of funny that she is assigned to be their goodness teacher. But they show them that unconditional love and try to teach them what is right. And they care about the villain kids before they choose good. And it kind of reminds me of that verse where it says that God demonstrates his own love for us in that while we were still dead in our trespasses and sin, Christ died for us. Christ didn't die to love us. Christ died because he loves us. And he wanted to make a way for us to spend eternity with him and to have a relationship with him. Even while we were against God and pursuing our own sinful ways, even when we were enemies of God, God still loved us so much to come down and make a way for us and to show us love. The Bible says that we know how to love because Jesus, God, first loved us. And one of my favorite scenes in any movie or TV show ever is that scene at the end when they're at the coronation and Mal and their friends, they all put their hands in, they say, "I choose good." And I love when Mal says, "Stealing and destroying things doesn't make you happy. I don't want to take over the world with evil. It doesn't make me happy." Love how each of the VKs in their own way sees how much better being good and loving people is. I think this film is just filled with great messages, and particularly I like how Jay, in the beginning, when the VKs are leaving the aisle, his dad Jafar tells him to recite their mantra. He says, "There's no team in I." All he cares about is himself. He's only in it for himself. But then I love how Jay becomes a part of the attorney team, and he actually finds that he likes being a part of a team and not just caring about himself. And I love how Evie, when I think she passes her chemistry test or physics, some kind of science thing, but I love that scene with Doug where she shows him her test where she gets a good grade. I think it was like a B- or plus or something like that, and she says, "It's like for the first time I'm more than just a pretty face." That's something the evil queen, Evie's mother, really emphasized in her life, and she thought that was all that was important, but then she learns there's more to her than that, and she is really smart, and she shouldn't be afraid to show and use that character trait and characteristic. I think that's another really good message. I just love this film so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and for me personally, I think one reason it really resonates with me is because it really reminds me of my story and my testimony, how I came to know Christ. I used to be a very selfish person, wanted things my own way, wanted whatever I wanted. I used to think that God was very angry with me all the time. I didn't understand how he could be so loving. But then God graciously showed me how he was a loving father who wanted to have a relationship with me, who died for me, who made a way for me to spend eternity with him, and he really helped me understand and see his heart. He placed great godly people in my life to teach me and help me with my questions and my misconceptions of God. And seeing God's heart and realizing how much he loved me, my heart was changed and I repented of my sins, and now I try my best to live by what his word says and to have a relationship with him and share him with others. That's one of the purposes of this YouTube channel. So all that, I think, just makes Descendants one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's a 10 out of 10. Now, does that mean it's a perfect film? No, I don't think a perfect film exists. I've said that before. A 10 out of 10 for me is a film that is as close to perfect as you can get, although I still have a few issues with the film. One is, and I touched on this a bit before, but I still think there's a few moments in this film that are just too cringy and cheesy for my taste, like the song Did I Mention, in that moment where Ben roars like his dad, the Beast. I think that's super cringy and hard to watch. And then the villains, the parents, I think the actors, they get to portray them, their performances can be a bit silly and over the top at times, kind of cringy. Also, when they bring the VKs over from the Isle and into Oridon, just the lack of security, like, if you're gonna bring people who have been raised to do evil their whole lives into this good kingdom, I think realistically there should be way more security than there was in this film. There should be like guards outside the school, and I know there was that one guard in the museum when they went there, but like one guard, like seriously, like these are kids who have been raised to do evil their whole lives. You don't think their parents have some agenda to get the wand, to get Fairy Godmother's wand, the one thing that can bring down the barrier? Like, there should have been way more security when it came to the VKs, and they should have been watching them more closely. And also, I don't really like or care for the character of Chad, Cinderella's son. I think all throughout this franchise, he never really grows or changes. He's always kind of a jerk, and he's just kind of pathetic. And out of all characters, to make a certain character be that way, why would you have it be Cinderella's son? Cinderella is the exact opposite of that. I don't understand how Cinderella can have a child that's such the opposite of her. Why'd you have to make Cinderella's son the jerk character? I don't understand that. I don't like that. But those are minor criticisms. Everything else in this film is just, I think, so phenomenal that I can forgive my criticisms with the film. Overall, I think that's all I have to say about Descendants. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Descendants. If you have seen, I would love to know y'all's thoughts, whether you agree with me or severely disagree with me. Wherever you are, I would love to know your thoughts. Subscribe if you enjoy my content. I would so love and appreciate your support in helping me put more God-honoring Christian content out there into the world. Check out some of my other videos if you would like and are interested, and I'll catch you all in the next video, guys. Y'all have a blessed one.